Hey there, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon which hemisphere you're in. This is Gary Smith, one of the co-hosts of the Crotchety Old Men podcast. I'm excited today, and with me in the studio, of course, is our main host, our leader, our chief engineer. This guy wears a lot of hats, and I call him by a lot of names. George Crumley, what up, though?
What up, though, Smitty? How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing all I can, and the easy ones twice. That's what I always say.
I know that's right. I know
Shoot.
that's right.
Yes, sir. Life is good up here in the north. How about
You
yourself?
know, that's interesting, Smitty. I just had a guy over to the house. He was looking at my washing machine. That's a different story. But one of the things he was saying, he was going to a Bible study, and he was saying that he learned in the Bible study that our look is based on our perception and our attitude. Because he asked me, how was I doing? I told him I'm having a great day. He asked me, was it because I was retired? No, he asked me about he couldn't wait for the weekend. And I told him every day was a weekend. He said, was that because of the fact that I'm retired? I said, you take your pick. I look at every day the same. Every day is the same. It's a great day to be here. Great day to be on earth.
Amen to that, man. Heck, if it wasn't for a calendar, I wouldn't care for what day it is. As long
There
as I'm
you go.
alive and I can enjoy it.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, so I guess, since I'm the co-host and you're the host, we're going to introduce each other. Well, I've already done that. So at this point, it's time for you to introduce who our guest speaker is today.
Well, okay. Well, I'm going to do the, if you don't know me by now, was that Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes?
That's right. You'll never know. All right.
Yeah, we've been pretty successful with the podcast, and we've brought a lot of information and education. Today's no different. We're going to talk here again about succession. I think it's so important. We missed the boat on this, and especially in today's time. We are building businesses, we're building community, and it's so important that our children, we pass this information on to them, and they let these things continue to grow. Because we work so hard, and as they say, they ain't making no more land. So we got to figure out, it's not as easy to say. I know there are some circumstances that come along where you have to look at what's the best way to do with your investments. But hey, if you can pass them on, pass them on. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. Succession planning is so important in just about every area of our life. We've said it here on the podcast, succession planning with regards to wills, writing out your wills, getting an attorney to help you with your trusts and the various levels of trust and so on and so forth, making sure that you have enough insurance so that your loved ones can live comfortably in the lifestyle that you set them up to be, and all those other things. A lot of us who own businesses, unfortunately, don't think in terms of a succession plan. All right. And while some of the baby boomers out there that have businesses, you're probably reaching into a level in your life where you're thinking about possibly turning it in. What I mean by that, you think in terms of possibly selling your business, or if you do have a succession plan where your heirs or your children, maybe even siblings, have some interest in carrying on that business, or just simply building a legacy or leaving a legacy behind. And so today, what we want to discuss and kind of chop it up about is, what is your succession plan? Easy for me to say today. What is your succession plan for your business? Okay. Um, you may be ready to sell and exit your business now, or you may be planning to grow it for maybe a few more years before offering it up for sale. But just because you're thinking about selling your business, the question you must ask yourself is my business sellable? And so today I want to really get into just some of the highlights. Certainly, this is a subject matter that goes so deep that we can't just cover everything today in this podcast. But you can all let us know if it's of interest, because I believe, George, we have a way for people to send in an email or contact us and let us know how we're doing in terms of topics and things of interest that they want to cover. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. The Crotchety Old Man Podcast at gmail.com. You can, in fact, I put it on all the posts that I put on both Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, you can contact us anytime, and we'd love to hear from you at the Crotchety Old Man Podcast at gmail.com.
Excellent. And so either way, understanding your current value is the first step in planning to protect your future. All right. Many times we don't even know what our businesses are worth. And so, in the same way that you would go and have a medical checkup, which assesses what your current physical condition is, and when we do go get our medical checkups or physicals, which I adhere you to, please get it done. Typically, it's best to do it in the first part of the year. But make sure you get that done. But using that as an analogy, getting a medical checkup, it provides information that guides your healthcare decisions, right? Well, a business valuation assessment does the same exact thing. It assesses the current conditions of your and the value of your business, and it provides you with incredible information that will guide your business planning. It will help you in the exit planning or planning for pre-sale improvements and things like that. Because there's several ways to do evaluation, but more importantly, it depends on why you're doing that evaluation. If you do evaluation for the sale of your business, or you're doing evaluation for a lender, possibly to loan you some money or to extend your line of credit, you may be doing evaluation so that you may be able to get equipment financing or leasing or what have you. Or, of course, you may be doing an evaluation because there's a breakup or a dissolution in your partnership arrangements. So there can be a myriad of reasons why to have a business valuation. And it's imperative of knowing which one of those are more applicable to yourself. So let's kind of take a look at why to do, not so much why, but some of the approaches, I should say that. So before considering or estimating the value of your business, you want to create somewhat of a list, like I call doing it on the back of an envelope, right? Just old school way of doing things. This doesn't have to be rocket science here. Is that you take a look at your assets of your business, the revenue stream that's coming in. And typically, for those of us that have businesses over 5 or 10 years, you have a track record that you can go back and look at. And you always say in business and certainly in commercial real estate and things of that nature that your trend is your friend. And so by going back and looking at these records, and let me pause right here, George, and I know you probably chime in on this one. So many entrepreneurs, if you're busy working in your business, you have little time to work on your business. And so I'm talking to my solopreneurs out there now, your hardware store owners, your insurance agency people, and stuff like that. If you're working on your business throughout the day and you're one of those owners and you're in there on a day-to-day operation, day-to-day basis, at the end of the day, chances are the first thing you want to do is not record your business, how much money you took in, what the inventory was. You're ready to get the heck out of there and go home and chill out, right? But it's imperative that you do have your business records in place because that is going to affect the valuation when you're ready to sell. People buy what's proven, not what's projected or what's even presented. And if you can't prove the value of your business, you may report X amount of dollars to the IRS. And we all know, heck, what we send to the IRS is solely to do what? Reduce our taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, then that's not the true valuation of your business. And all of us, go ahead, George.
Oh no, but there's a couple of things that you said. One was you talked about the evaluation of your business. So just so that our audience, it's so important that we educate our audience in a manner which it gives us a step-by-step approach. So when you're evaluating your business, is this something that you do solely, or is this something that you actually need to have a real estate agent come in and give you comparable businesses and see what they're selling for? Or is this something it's basically on, like you say, the income and how your business is doing.
Okay, first of all, let's make sure that we're crystal clear on this. Real estate agents are not, how can I say this delicately?
Be careful, I'm an agent.
Yeah.
Be careful.
In all due respect, real estate agents are not, and competent is just such a horrible word. To have the capacity, there you go.
How about the resources?
To do evaluation of business. So you cannot use a real estate agent, broker, whatever you want to call them, whether they're a commercial agent or a residential agent, doesn't matter. You cannot use those people or resources to determine the valuation of a business.
Good.
Okay, so we need to make
Good to
sure.
know.
Yeah, it's good to know, seriously, because businesses have so many moving parts. And first of all, there's a high level and a high degree of confidentiality that's involved in a business transaction, which is not necessarily the case with real estate. All right. Case in point, I'll just give this quick example. If you're a real estate agent or a real estate broker, you want everybody in the world to know where that location of that house or that building is. Okay, that's the first thing you're going to put out there. It's not going to hurt people knowing whether or not you got a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, whether there's 6 people living in a building or what have you. Nobody. Whereas with a business, you don't want your employees, you dare not let your lender or your vendors and suppliers know that you're even thinking of selling, much less that it's on the market to be sold. All right? Because that in and of itself can cripple or even just destroy your business before it's even sold. Employees will get scurvy, say, oh my God, Mr. Crumley's about to sell the business. Are we going to be able to stay? Is he going to keep any of us? Or, this new owner's coming in, what kind of change is going to be? I mean, they're going to fire us all? All those questions will start going through their mind. And so before the business is even closed or sold, their attention is not on continuing to earn new profits as a business owner. Their mind says that, oh my God, I got to start sending out resumes. And then they'll start telling everybody, hey, my company is up for sale. That's not what a business owner wants. You dare not want that. Same thing goes with your vendors and suppliers. If they get wind that you're thinking about selling or that you got your business up for sale, then they're going to think, well, maybe we should call in these accounts receivables, accounts payables that you owe. Let's get this stuff out of the way before you sell. And I could go on and on. So a business transaction is far, far different than a real estate transaction, bar none. As a matter of fact, as a business broker and a mergers acquisition advisor myself, if there's a business that has real estate with it, we extrapolate that. We separate the two. The real estate portion, if the owner still wants to sell that that building, then they can do so by hiring a real estate agent or a real estate broker. I, as a business broker or a merger and acquisition advisor, will not even engage in that. The smarter thing to do, however, though, if you find yourself in that situation, rather than sell the building, lease it to the incumbent buyer of your business.
All right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So there's several ways that you want to approach the valuation, though. First of all, you look at your assets. What's the estimated fair market value for your physical business that can be converted to cash, especially those businesses that have equipment and that sort of stuff, right? And then there's the market approach. If you have a florist, let's say, for instance, and you're looking to sell that florist, well, you want to have a market approach. And I think this is where you was coming from, George, in regards to real estate agents. You're accustomed to doing what they call comparables. In the business world, we call them comps. Same thing. We all call them the same thing. And that market approach is an estimated value of your business compared to other florists in your area that have probably sold within the last, and I wouldn't go back all the way to COVID and all that nonsense, last 3 to 5 years. What you want is a business that has records that can prove what you're making. Because any business buyer, the only reason they're looking at your business, they're asking the question, how much money can I make if I buy your business? Let's start here. I want to make as much as you're currently making in that business right now. If you've been around for 5 or 10 years, there's 3 or 4 things that's factual. Number one, for the last 5 or 10 years, or however long you've owned that business, you've been able to feed your family. You've been able to enjoy a good lifestyle. You've been able to take vacations when you want to, do all the things that you want to do. You're making enough money, whereas if you do have employees, you're able to pay them. You're able to pay taxes. So I got to believe that you're making a lot of good money. And so nothing should change just because I take your place, unless I come in with a wrong idea. And that's a whole nother story. I don't want to get too deep into that. So, but that's the reason. And so that's the importance of being transparent to a certain degree. Now, you're not going to share your financials. You're not going to share your contacts and all that kind of stuff, your vendors or your customers, with anybody until it's proven and validated that, number one, they sign what's known as an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, which ensures the confidentiality. Number two, you want to vet them to make sure that they have enough money to buy your business. All right. And by doing your valuations, now you know whether or not your business is sellable by way of, let's say, for instance, George, if I wanted to buy your company, excuse me, and your business is SBA financeable or 7A, and these are lending programs, guys, that will enable you to buy a business with as little as 10% down. Mm. Right? But if it's financeable, that means that all your books and records are in order. Okay, your tax filings, for the last 3 to 5 years, your private profit and loss statements are in order for the last 3 to 5 years. And of course, your balance sheet, okay, and your cash flow statements. So now, see, those things can be analyzed and verified that, yeah, he's making $1 million a year or $400,000 a year in earnings. So now a buyer's going to feel more confident. They know they got to bring X amount of dollars to the table in order to buy it. Oh, and let me pause right here. There is no such thing as buying a business with no money down. Okay.
You can buy anything, yeah.
Okay, let's get that stupidity out of your mindset. If it's even flowing, don't do that. Now, can the end result end up being that possibly you end up buying a business with little or no money out of your pocket? Absolutely. Absolutely, that can happen. But don't even waste anybody's time. A business broker, business advisor, and more importantly, a seller of a business, asking them, can you come to buy their $1 million business, $500,000 business with no money down? That foolishness is just what it is. Foolishness.
So what's the market right now for owners selling their business? I know we talk a lot about the real estate. We talk a lot about commercial business buildings. And fact that, since COVID, those may be down. But as far as, the mom and pop corner store, those types of small businesses, what's the market like right now?
Incredible. It's incredible. And
why is that?
Incredible on the good side. Well, number one, you have, again, I'm going to go back to the baby boomers. You got over 70 million baby boomers out here. Now, are there 70 million businesses? Of course not. But it's close to about 3 million of those small businesses. And just like you say, the mom and pops and small businesses run a corporate America. When I say corporate, I'm talking about your businesses. And the definition, let's do that. Let me kind of pause for a second. The definition of a small business, and this is the definition by the Small Business Administration, is a business that has fewer than 500 employees, and a business that has earnings of less than $25 million. There are a lot of privately held businesses in the United States of America that fits that profile. Number two, majority of those businesses are your small businesses and small businesses that have earnings. Now you're going to hear me use the word earnings, revenue, kind of interchangeably, or sales. It's the same thing, of anywhere from $5 million or less. Mm-hmm. Most businesses, your restaurants, your mom and pop, really earn $1 million The more profitable ones do earn above $1 million, like I said, from 1 million to 5. But the huge bulk of businesses are below that 1 million mark. And you can make a heck of a lot of money buying businesses in that tranche right there. Again, it's another topic, but I can share and show you how it's done. It's being done every day. So when you ask about how the market is for small businesses, because of the reason I stated earlier about people looking to either retire, they may have had a health issue, there may be a death of one of the partners or a dissolution, a disagreement with some of the partners or what have you. It could be anything such as a lawsuit or what have you. There's many reasons why people will sell a business. And the question always comes up. If the business is making good money, why would you sell? Well, I just gave you a few reasons why it's for sale. Okay, so we got to get out of that. Oh, it must be a problem with it. It must be something wrong with the business. Why are you selling now? Granted, those are great questions. And you can get the answers to those questions by hiring somebody like myself or finding a person that specializes in business brokerage or mergers and acquisitions, things of that nature, to assist you and help guide you through the due diligence process. Because all of those questions has to be answered before you not only just initiate, but certainly before you close. And that's the part that's done in the due diligence. So it's not always just the financials that I just talked about earlier. What you have to also take into consideration of that, what are you going to do to make that business grow? That's one of the most important questions for a buyer to ask and for a seller to answer. When I'm talking to business people who are looking to sell or even just thinking about selling their business, I act as though I'm the buyer. When I say act, I'm not pretending with them, but what we're doing is that who's your buyer? Who's your business set up for that will be able to come in and do the same things you've done or maybe tweak some things? If the business doesn't have a website presence, obviously that's a way that you can add that component to that business and perhaps increase their revenues or increase their sales by who knows how much. There's so many other ways that you can improve revenue, but that's what you have to be thinking, even as a seller. And you may be, if you're at the age of retirement, then certainly your incentive is not to go out and get more customers or what have you because you're looking to get out. But as a buyer, and that business has shown that here's where my customers are coming from, here's the list of my customers, and recurring income, that income that comes in year after year after year after year, the same customers or repeat buyers, that business is going to create or demand a much higher price tag than if you have a business that people are one and done. They come buy a cupcake and they don't ever come back.
Yeah, I mean, this is all good stuff. And as you were talking, I was thinking, I mean, it's really a great scenario for those of us that are, in that retirement age, 62, 65, even 70, because, we're living much, much longer now. But, and one of the things that I've learned about in retirement, it's about the cash flow, so if you can find a business that has been profitable and the owner is willing to stay on another 12 to 18 months and, tutor you and show you the business, you've just got to learn the business and you can, create great cash flow for you and your family and in your, go as they call the golden ages. I can see that as a really great, way to, spend your retirement years. Just for example, I met a gentleman and his wife. They have a small business, and you never would have thought about this. But what they do is they have a meat packing company, and they basically prepare the prepared food that you see at like Costco's and Sam's Club or Sprouts. When you go in and you may see the salmon that's raw, but then you may also see the salmon that's already cooked and, already seasoned, and all you got to do is take it home and warm it up. That's what they do. I mean, it's a great small business. You run that with, say, 30 employees. And then from a management perspective, you're just managing a process because, the physical work is done all by your employees. So that's an excellent business. would be great, target for, a business to pick up in your retirement, buy it, get the person to stay on 18 months, show you how the ropes go. And hey, you can grow it however you want. But those are the kind of businesses that you don't really think about, but that you could look for that may be for sale and could, get you that cash flow that you really use in your retirement ages.
Absolutely. Two things here. Number one, you really don't want the previous owner to stick around that long. All right. Because that can impede your taking over control. But I get your point. The typical length of time that an owner will stick on is about 60 days.
Okay.
It's not going to, here's the reason why. Because to make your business more valuable as a seller, it should be process and procedural driven and not owner driven. If you have a manual, if you notice most companies that do make good revenue consistently year after year after year, it's because they have processes in place, procedures already in place, that whether that owner is there or Mickey Mouse is there, that business is still going to make money. That's another part of the valuation. So you want to buy a business, and here's also with what we talked about earlier about the baby boomers. You also have a lot of people who's either retiring from corporate America, retiring from other jobs. They got a 401k or they got a severance package, and they have a dilemma, if you will. Now they can go and find another job, perhaps, depending upon how their age and their capabilities and all that, so on and so forth, or they can go buy a business. And a lot of us have not been told, educated, or even made aware of how. And I don't like using the word easy, because nothing really is easy, but it's doable. And you have all these resources where you can go and buy a business. Now, let's say, for instance, that business is for sale for $500,000. Well, just with the SBA 7A program, you can put it down as less as $50,000, 10% of whatever that price of that business is. So whether it's $1 million, 10% of $1 million would be $100,000. In my example that I'm using now, a business that has a valuation of $500,000, you could own it today by putting down a 10% deposit of $50,000, and the SBA will guarantee the bank or loan you anywhere from 75, in some cases up to 90% of the rest of the money. If there's a gap, let's say you put down 10%, SBA will only loan you up to 75% of the value. So now you got a 15% gap. Here is how the seller financing comes into place. The seller can take a note for that other 15%. You offer them a rate that's agreeable to, and you can do that deal. Or you could do it with a private lender. There's so many resources where you could do a deal like that. And the margins on a $500,000 business could be anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 a year. That's your cash flow. So that gives you a range. And everything about businesses, when you're buying or selling businesses, it's a rule of thumb for everything. There's no one cookie cutter thing that fits all businesses, all industries, and certainly not in all income levels. But here's just a simple example. And you wouldn't have to take your whole 401k. Let's say you got $500,000 in your 401k, or $400,000 or $300,000. That's what you got to live off of. And depending upon where that money is deposited and how it's growing, this is why businesses has always been the fastest pathway to wealth. The wealthy and the rich, they own one of two things or both: a business and real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Bar none. Why? Because you have that recurring cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I've tried to remove the word simple from my vocabulary, because it's not simple, and but it's gonna take a lot of work, but it's doable, like you said. But here again, think about it. If you've worked any number of years in corporate America, the skills that you've developed will transfer over to owning a business, whether it's coordination, whether it's hiring, whether it's evaluating, whether it's developing processes, procedures. Hey, I mean, you have the skills to do it, because you're basically you if you run any type of organization, you can run a business. There's really no difference. Okay. The buck stops with you, bottom line. So those are the kind of things. So don't be afraid to do it. Use the skills that you've developed over time to make yourself successful.
Absolutely. And to add to that, you don't want to be a solopreneur. All right. That's a job. And I'm not advocating going
Right.
out and buying yourself a job. Okay. You may as well go get a franchise. At least it has policies, procedures, and a manual
Already.
on how to do it. All
Right.
right. You can't go in thinking that just because you ran the marketing department at GM, you're going to be able to do this business of a tree trimming company or an HVAC company or a plumbing company, any of those things. All right. Because your employees are your leverage. So
Right.
you don't have to be in there every day doing the HVAC or cutting the trees down or whatever. But what you do want is that manual or those processes and procedures. Now, here's how you add value to the business that you're about to buy. Because those employees that have been there for a while and the time that the owner does stay there with you for a while, you darn well need to be writing it down, recording it so that moving forward, your business will have a process, procedures, and a physical manual. So whether you're there or not, whoever takes your place will be able to follow those procedures and manual and still be successful. That's just one way of being able to add value to your business. And so before we wrap up here today, it's imperative that people know that the opportunity exists. It's bigger. I'm gonna tell you, buying a business has more opportunities right now than trying to buy a building.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Because lenders are scurvy about buildings,
Mm-hmm.
especially today. Interest rates are high. So if you got a building, don't have any tenants in it, you got all these other liabilities and all this other stuff and hoops and crap you got to go through to buy real estate. The reason the real estate market is down right now, it's not because of nobody's living in a house or nobody's working in a building. The reason that the real estate market is down because of interest rates.
Well,
Well, unless you got something good, what's the reason?
well, yeah. I mean, the way it's been publicized is that it makes people uneasy because they think the interest rates are too high. But if you look at it over a number of years, the interest rates are right where they should be. That's usually where interest rates are for a house, anywhere between 4.5% to 6.5% if you look traditionally. So, but I get what you're saying, and it does, put a lot of unease in the world when you keep hearing people repeat that over and over again. But I mean, think about the first house you bought. I know the first house I bought, the interest rates were probably around about 15%. So, you have to look at things in perspective. But no, it makes sense. I see what you're saying. I see what you're going with that.
All right. Because, yeah, most people are crying about it don't pencil out. Even some of these guys is building these multi-unit apartment properties. They say they don't pencil out. And they're crying about real interest rate. But that's not the topic of our subject today. The topic of our subject is succession planning. And I think it goes both ways. You can have a succession plan to buy a business and a profitable business. We're not talking about turnaround stuff here, folks. So anytime I'm talking about buying a business, profitability is always there. You're not going to go out here and try and buy a falling knife. Okay. What I mean by that is the business is going down. That's why you want to, that's why you want to look at the trend. Is it making money? Is it in an industry that's continuing to make money? If you're out here looking at a business that develops film, you're going to go broke before you close. Because you don't need you used to take a picture with the cameras and you take it to CVS or you take it to Kroger's or somewhere and have them to develop the film and you come back a day or two or whatever. Those days been gone. That's like the DVDs are gone. So you don't want to buy a business that's selling movies on DVD, all right? Because Netflix and them overnight took that out. So you got to be somewhat shrewd in your thinking about what is the longevity of the industry that I'm in? What skill sets, like you said, George, that I can bring to the table that's going to at least give me a advantage, if you will, a slight edge in about this business. And I'm a huge proponent about Don't buy a business that you don't know anything about. Okay? Have some knowledge and be able to like it. Another thing, you buy a business because you like it, it fits your lifestyle, and you know something about it. Not because it's cheap or somebody about to lose it. I can take it over. Those are the wrong reason to buy one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So before we wrap up, though, I want to make it crystal clear as a takeaway that whether you're looking to sell a business, thinking about selling a business for your succession planning, I also would like to advise you, those who have either received that unexpected pink slip, they call it layoff. I don't know why they call them layoff, like you're gonna get rehired again, but they put people in the streets. Say, oh yes, Stellantis is laying off 150 people. Well, you ain't coming back. Okay, get that real clear. So then you got that, or you're about to retire. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? George, you mentioned to us earlier. Say it. If somebody asks you that stuff about what do you do when you retire? Remember we had that?
You better stay busy.
Yes.
Find something that you're passionate about. Find out something that's going to make you happy and something that's going to give you cash flow. If that's that's a part of it that you want. But yeah, you got to find something that's going to keep you busy. Mm-hmm. Being busy means you're needed and wanted. Okay, and that's what you want. Be needed and wanted. When that phone stops ringing and there's a lot of silence around you, that's when you want to be concerned and worried. So
be concerned.
Retirement is great, but you got to have something to do. The TV is not going to keep you occupied, so you got to have something to do. And like you say, make it something that's going to be enjoyable. And that's the key. Something that's going to be enjoyable because you worked on a job for a number of years, and yes, some of us have the ideal career, and some of us didn't. Some of us can think about the reasons why we left the job or why we even did it that long. But the most important thing is now you have a choice. You have a base, so that it's not like you have to run out and do something right away if you've taken care of yourself. So, yeah, I mean, it's something, that likability will take you a long ways.
Yeah. And one other thing too, George, before we wrap up too, is that I want to give you all some websites that you can go to because education is the key. And there's so much education out here. Matter of fact, a lot of it's free. So get yourselves educated. One of the websites I would highly encourage you to go to is bizbuysell.com. Bizbuysell.com. Not only do they have businesses all over America that are for sale, get yourself educated and acclimated to the type of companies that are out there. You'd be surprised. Also, BizBuySell also have learning materials. How to sell a business, how to prepare to sell, how to buy a business, the lingo, know the difference between SDE, which means seller discretionary earnings, versus EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, and amortization. Learn the lingo, but more importantly, educate yourself about some of these businesses out here. Okay, that's for sale. Don't take my word for it. Go look at it for yourself. BizBuySell is one. Vested, VESTED, bb.com. That's another fabulous company. I actually have a alignment with that company, so I can help you find or buy a business or sell one. There's many other. Once you start looking down that, going down the BizBuySell, though, you'll find other business brokers out there who are marketing companies that they have for sale, no matter where you live. So those are just two. I don't know where my notepad is today. I didn't. Oh, nope, that's not it.
Yeah, you got to have some words of wisdom, Smith. You can't get away without that.
Right.
But just to add on here at the end, if this is something that really interests you, you're in luck because Smitty has a lot of information about, both selling and investing in businesses for sale. So here again, drop us a line at Thecrotchetyoldmenpodcast at gmail.com if you weren't able to write down those websites that he gave you. And drop Gary a note, and I'm sure he'll respond and give you the information you need. So what you got to take us home with today, Smitty?
Well, here we go. This is a quote by Rumi, R-U-M-I. The quieter you become, the more able you will learn. Let me repeat that. The quieter that you become, the more you're able to hear. If I'm going to give the quote, let me give it properly.
There you go.
The
So
quieter
you
you become.
got to open those ear gates.
That's right. You got to open those. You can't hear and be running at the mouth at the same time.
There you go. There
So
you
find
go.
your quiet spot. So,
Good
as
stuff.
we like to say on the Crotchety Old Men podcast, if you didn't know,
If you didn't know, now you know. Take care. Be blessed.
amen.
Thanks.
Peace.